sitting next to her, he doesn't appreciate it. But we gotta pause and go to one last break. We'll be right back to talk about this lady letting the cat suck on her boob. Right after this.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Dunford. Yummy.
Yes! She's right. She's so right. It's completely ridiculous how sexy I am. Many people will tell you that. But anyway, let's move on. Let's finish up on this story about the woman letting the cat suck on her boob. See, we've gotten to a place in our society where these airlines will just let people bring any type of animal on the plane and say it's emotional support animal, which to me is nonsense. And some of them might be emotional support animals, I don't know. But a lot of people, millions of people, used to be able to fly without emotional support animals. So they still could fly, they just don't want to. Some people love their pet, and they just want to bring their pet everywhere. Okay? They don't need any emotional support animal. That's just complete nonsense. So this lady was sitting on this plane, and she had a cat sucking on her boob. She's breastfeeding the cat, and this guy who was sitting next to her was just calling the stewardesses and making a big fuss. I mean, it was outrageous, but it wasn't actually hurting. It wasn't actually hurting him any, so I'm not sure why he's so enraged about this woman letting the cat suck on her boob. I mean, it was completely ridiculous. I mean, listen, a cat, I know people say human beings are animals too. Once you start letting another species suck on your boob, you're this close to being a person who's involved in bestiality. You're letting the cat suck on your boobs. Okay? So you can only imagine what this woman is doing when she's at home with the cat or some other animal. You know what I'm saying? She's letting it suck on her. She has no boundaries with these other species. You're a human. The cat is a cat. Okay? You don't treat a cat or a dog like a human. Okay? People dressing animals up in clothes, trying to potty train them is stupid. It's a different species as you. Okay? The fact that you're having it as a pet might be questionable itself. But letting it suck your boob on an airplane, if you've done that in the privacy of your own home, no one would know or care, because they don't know. They can't care if they don't know. But you're doing it on an airplane. And even though it doesn't really affect the guy in the next seat, this guy couldn't shut up about it. He just kept telling people, she's letting a cat suck on her boob. And so, this is where we're going with these emotional support. If I owned an airline, I just gotta say this. If I owned an airline, I would say no emotional support animals. If you are not blind to the point where you actually need help, you can have the dog. But people with these emotional support animals, I wouldn't let them on the plane. I know they'd probably sue me. I know. I just go ahead and fight them in court. I wouldn't let them on the plane. I say no emotional support animals on my plane. Okay? If you got to have an emotional support animal, you need to fly some other airline. I wouldn't let them on the plane. But that's just me. I'm not going to have a bunch of animals on my plane. Even though the cat sucking the woman's boob is not hurting anyone, I wouldn't even let her on the plane with the cat. I would have said, no, you can't get on this plane. You got to go to one of these other planes where the owner and the board, the CEO of the airline is pussied out and caved in to, this small group of people who demands that you let their emotional support animal on the plane to fly with them. I'd just say no. We have a policy directly against emotional support animals. So anyone who brings an animal, we don't want you bringing an animal on the plane, but if you tell us it's an emotional support animal, we definitely won't let you on the plane with it. That's just me, though. That would be just me. I'm not going to let you on the plane with an emotional support animal sucking your boob. Maybe that guy was jealous. Maybe he was looking at that chick thinking, man, I can't even suck her boob. And now she got a cat sucking her boob? Man, that's some bullshit. So he, I don't know what the end result was. Because while I was watching this video, and it's not like a new video, I heard this story months ago, but I just seen the video earlier today, so I thought I'd mention it. But yeah, this is where we're going in our society with emotional support animals. Like I said, if I owned the plane, nobody would be allowed to bring an emotional support animal on my plane. I don't care if they sue me. I just have to fight them in court. At some point, you got to put your foot down in our society. Another thing I hate in our society is celebrities apologizing for stupid shit. You ever seen one of these celebrities say something that somebody considers offensive, and then the next day, like, the celebrity comes out and apologizes? Like, I'm sorry about what I said, and I didn't mean to offend anybody, blah, 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 blah. They don't mean it. They're only doing that because their publicist told them, hey, we've got a lot of letters and emails and complaints about what you said yesterday on Twitter, and you need to apologize. So they're afraid they're going to lose money by, people making a big fuss out of something they said. So they just apologize for that. But I think that needs to stop. I think all the entertainers need to stop apologizing for something stupid. If you said something that you think it's not that big of a deal, it's not that bad, don't apologize. When your publicist comes to tell you you need to apologize, say no. I'm not going to do that because what I said was nothing. I mean, it was minuscule. It was almost meaningless. I don't even know why I said it. There's certainly not anything to apologize about. Well, you may have, I don't care if I may have offended people who get offended easily by anything someone says. I'm helping them by not apologizing. When you apologize about something stupid, you're telling the people who are pretending to be offended that it's okay to be offended by something small and petty and not worth mentioning. It's okay. Everybody should bow down to your wishes. If you say anything offends you, you can say the word "the" offends you, and people in our society would apologize to you for saying "the." But not me. I vow to never apologize for something stupid if I so happen to become a successful entertainer. Mark my words, and on this podcast, that Mr. Anthony Scott Dover has said, if he says something that he doesn't think, meaning me, that I don't think is offensive, then I'm not going to apologize. And even if my publicist, which I don't have a publicist, but if I ever am successful enough, and I don't know how that could be possible unless this podcast blows up and I'm successful from that, because I'm not an actor, I'm not a singer or a dancer or an athlete, so I don't know how that could happen, but it could happen. But anyway, I won't be apologizing for something stupid that I've said that is offensive. You know, if I tell someone, if I offend someone or do someone wrong individually, I may apologize to that person that I've done wrong. But I'm not going to apologize to the whole world. I'm sorry to the whole world. What I said was wrong, and shut up. That's what I feel like saying. Oh, shut up. Okay? Especially people who are apologizing for something that happened 10 years ago. I apologized 10 years ago. I said this. I'd be like, well, we didn't remember it, and no one cares. But now that you're bringing it up, we're going to try to look it up online so we can ridicule you. But, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I want anybody who's listening to this podcast to start, if you know anybody famous, well-known entertainers, tell them not to apologize for something stupid that they may have said or done. No, if they've done something serious, that's a different story. But petty little stuff, like I've had women, Caucasian women, tell me that so-and-so said this and that I should be offended by that. It was highly offensive, and you should be. And I'm like, don't tell me what to be offended by, okay? If I don't recognize it as something to be offended by on my own, then no, I don't really need to be offended. So I'm not going to do it. And I hate seeing it. But that's just me, I guess. I'm sure a lot of other people feel exactly the same way as me. They're just not going to say nothing. But I'm going to say everything. Eventually, I'm going to get around to saying everything I think. All my opinions come out on this podcast. And that's what the podcast is for. So I can vent and talk, about what's going on in the world, give my opinions, disagree with my co-host whenever he's here. He doesn't do every show. Obviously, if you've listened to all the shows, which I can't imagine anybody has done that, because there's like 70 shows, 70 of these shows that I've put out there. Can't imagine anyone having enough time to listen to all of them. But if you listen to even half of them, you know that Me and my broadcasting partner.